I'm DL Walker, and I saw your request in Help a Reporter Out. I am a corrective manual physical therapist specializing in non-surgical foot and ankle treatment. I have degrees in physical therapy, exercise and cardiac rehab, and a master's in exercise science. I worked with seniors in their home as a manual physical therapist for over 10 years. And I am the creator of fixyouonline.com, a website that is dedicated to you healing you. And I have an online program called Correcticize, which might be appropriate for the clientele that is looking to work out. You shared many questions, and to write these things would be labor intensive. So I'm going to answer them as best I can and as completely as I can, because a lot of it is individual. It really will depend on the person. So the question is, it's been a long time since I've exercised. What should I do before jumping in? Well, first of all, is to set an intention. Offer your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this now? Is it to play with your grandkids? Is it to release weight? Is it to be more healthy? Is it to make your joints feel better? What is it to get out of pain? What is your why? Because that will guide you in the correct direction as to the next steps, like what kind of exercise to do, for example. So that would be number one. Do you need to visit a doctor? I have a saying, err on the side of caution. I used to think it was error on the side of caution, which I think says it a little bit better, meaning that it never assume that you are fit enough to exercise. Really get clearance from a professional that it is okay to do so. And that might look like a doctor, certainly from a biological, physiological standpoint. It could also look like a screening from a physical therapist or a chiropractor to make sure your body's in good alignment. And or an exercise physiologist evaluation. So there are a number of different things. Again, it depends really on the individual's history and also their goals and to what type of exercise they're wanting to take on. Special workout clothing or equipment. You are not required. I think, as it's been my experience, that most people cannot move their own body properly, much less add weight to it. And that's kind of why we have so many problems. So I do not advocate particularly buying any equipment, and certainly not investing in anything special. As far as clothing, comfortable clothes that you feel good in. That's going to reinforce your ability to move and feel good with regard to your program. Easy ways to warm up before exercising. Okay, so stretching actually has been shown not to be required with regard to exercising. I'm not really sure the research dictates a warm up or a cool down. Intuitively, it makes sense, right? So it's really just to get you moving in a way that is going to mimic the exercise that you're going to do, and do so. And I'm believing this is more really for sports than other types of activities like biking, for example. So, and certainly I wouldn't warm up before Tai Chi. To me, that is kind of a warm up. Yoga also, although, when I am in yoga class, there are some things that I do on my own. So, again, not necessarily per se. Walking, any kind of movement that you're going to do, some mild movement, active movements is what has been advocated with regard to the research, versus just passive stretching like hanging or dangling. And using gravity to stretch hasn't been shown in the research to be detrimental to performance. Okay, okay, sharing anything I can think of. Warming up. And again, I would advocate breathing as a great warm up, breathing with motion. Particularly because our rib cage is very, very rigid and does not get worked a whole lot. So, and it is a key place for there to be good movement required for our bodies to work and generate proper movement with regard to the arms and the legs. All right, how much exercise should you begin with? I'm going to say half as much as you think you should. So if you're feeling like I'm going to go out for say 20 minutes, go out for maybe 10. And what I advocate is starting again, or on the side of caution, and begin slowly, right? With a quarter, maybe even a quarter of what you think you can do. So let's say that looks like 2 minutes. And if 2 minutes goes really well, then bump it to 3 the next day. And if 3 goes really well, bump it to 4. So again, I think intuitively it depends on the individual. You know, I have a 4-minute exercise routine that my dad found difficult to do. So again, everybody is different. Everyone's beginning at different levels, and don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself only to you. And if that looks like 30 seconds, then it's 30 seconds, and congratulate yourself, and focus on the progress, not the destination. So that is that. Right. And make a decision of what that's going to look like for you, and keep it reasonable and feasible. The worst thing that you can do is overdo and become discouraged. So again, err on the side of caution. All right, question number 4. What are simple exercises that someone can start with if they have not been physically active in a long time? I would say, again, what is your goal? If it's cardiovascular health, for example, then you need to do endurance exercises. Something like an exercise bike would be great. It's not weight bearing. It's relatively helpful with regard to circulation, because, and also the heart, because you're using your legs. A recumbent bike, for example, would be kind of gravity assisted, because you're not in a position where the body has to work so hard to get the blood back to the heart for pumping. Water aerobics, water exercise would be another great choice, particularly if someone is carrying a few extra pounds or has orthopedic concerns. There's some really great benefits to water exercise, and some obstacles too. You know, availability is not always easy. So I would say, and then, you know, again, walking can be great for some and not so much for other people. So it might be a good idea for somebody to consult with a physical therapist, an exercise physiologist, or and try a bunch of different things. I don't advocate commitment to anything unless and until you're certain that you're going to do that thing. All right. So the next question is, any tips for injury prevention? So I have a whole program on that. Yeah. So again, I would say it would be to do less than what you think you should or you could. And also just to be mindful of your body. And again, that is something that I teach in my program. And there's a correct and incorrect way to breathe. There's an incorrect or an ideal, all right, and a inefficient or unideal way to even breathe. So if there are a lot of things that people are unaware of with regard to preventing injury. And it goes way beyond the scope of this question. So it would behoove anyone to, again, start slowly, listen to their body. That's a big one. So regardless of what other people are doing, maybe in a class or what someone is instructing you to do, if it does not feel right, absolutely, under no uncertain terms, do not do it. Trust your intuition on that. How do you cool down, and do you need to? So once again, something like Tai Chi, do you need to cool down? Probably not. I would just say, again, intuitively, just slow down, slowly. And to what extent it feels comfortable for you. Okay, because I think the majority of the people who are going to be beginning exercises are not going to be out there sprinting or doing interval training per se. So what I'm feeling is that it might just look like some tuning in breaths and consciously bringing yourself back into a conscious state where you are focused on relaxing and bringing yourself out of that elevated state. Most exercise equipment is going to automatically give you a cool down, so that is a potential benefit. And many classes oftentimes will offer a cool down as well. Cool down can also mean, sitting down, taking a drink, and making sure that you're super hydrated. And that would be another thing that I would highly, highly recommend. I think the majority of us, particularly seniors, are dehydrated. And I've seen this over and over again with, if there's multiple medications involved and everything else, be sure to hydrate. And I would have to say, more so than a warm up or a cool down, I would recommend hydration. Okay, what if exercise makes you out of breath or causes your heart to beat abnormally fast? Well, is it, when you say abnormal, does that mean pathological, or does that mean not normal, right? For you, because if you don't exercise and you don't bring your heart rate up, that would be abnormal, right? But if it is not dangerous, it is potentially advantageous for that to happen. So in which case, again, tune into your body. If intuitively it does not feel right, then don't do it. Bring it down, slow down, right? And make other choices. The research shows that you can achieve all your cardiovascular benefits in 90 seconds a week, not a day, a week. That's with maximum exertion exercise. And that means moving maximally. And again, that in getting your heart rate abnormally high, right? Above not normal resting, and therefore could potentially feel dangerous. But if you are cleared by your doctor cardiovascularly, it's a very simple thing that you can do. In fact, I have an exercise in my program. I call it sit and hit, which is high intensity interval exercise that you can do in sitting. There's no reason that you have to go sprint to achieve, right, a maximal or high exertion that would be able to fulfill those benefits that we so choose to require. Things like lower resting blood glucose, cardiovascular benefits, cholesterol benefits, those types of things. And what they've also found in the research, and this might be appropriate for some people, is that exercise is cumulative. So if I went and did 15 minutes or 5 minutes or a minute of exercise in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening, it's cumulative. It's a cumulative benefit. So don't worry, again, about doing the quote unquote recommended, right, per se. You can work yourself up to that. But again, it's about what is the goal that you're trying to achieve. All right, number 8 was other tips. Let's see what we have here. Okay. Do you have any other tips or recommendations for people who want to exercise but haven't done so in a long time? Yeah, I would just say my last tip is really be clear, and I brought this up earlier, really be clear on why you're doing it, because that's what's going to keep you compliant. And when people ask me, well, what's the best type of exercise? I tell them the one that they're going to do. So I'm a person that really likes to exercise. I really dislike going to a gym. It's not my favorite thing. Will I do it? Yes. Do I like doing it? No. If it was the only thing I could do, would I be compliant? Probably not. So again, it's really about finding what works for you. And I would just also say is that the more options that you have, the greater your odds of our success. So I encourage people to try different places, try different classes, try different situations, and see what is fun for you. What do you enjoy doing? Because every person, it's going to be different. And the most important thing is that you move and you hydrate and you're happy. So thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you, and I hope you find it helpful. You'll have my contact information if you have any questions. And thank you. Bye.